Hello everybody, I'm Jackie K. Cooper, and today's entertainment rundown is a review of two movies, Fisherman's Friends and Relic. Fisherman's Friends is the first movie that I want to talk to you about, and it's one of those movies that, you'll have to kind of search it out on Netflix or Amazon or video on demand or whatever, because, it's not playing at your local movie theater per se, because they're not showing current movies or any movies. But this is just a feel-good film. It's based on a true story. I love movies that have a basis in truth, because then they can be as wacky as they have to be, because it's all true and you have to believe it. But it tells a story of a group of fishermen in Cornwall. I think that's in Great Britain, and so on the coast, and they fish. That is, the big thing for them is going out and fishing, and they come on. They have the city pub where they all gather, to converse and joke with each other, whatever. But their life is centered around fishing and the pub, and then their families. And they like to sing, and they sing sea chanties. I've been hearing about sea chanties all my life, but don't really know what defines a sea song per se. But these people, they have their own songs that they sing over and over and over, and they'll sing when they're out on their boats. They'll sing when they're, processing their catch. They'll sing when they go to the local pub, and it's something that they enjoy. There's 10 of them, and they sound good when they sing. And then one day, a group of 4 guys from London come to the coast and on vacation, and as one of them, strikes up a conversation with one of the main leaders of the group, played by actor James Purefoy, and they say, something, come down to the bar or whatever. But anyway, through circumstances, they hear them sing. And one of the guys, who's the boss of the group, says, you've got to another guy, he says, you've got to sign them. We've got to get them recorded. And the guy that he tells that to is played by Daniel Mays. And he takes him seriously, and, and then they say, okay, we've got to get back, but you stay here and get them signed or whatever. But the guy who is the boss meant it as a joke. The guy who works for him takes it seriously and begins to tell them all this stuff about how he can, wants to record them. He wants to get them on a record label. He wants to make them famous, etc. And they're like, hey, we're 10 fishermen, and we sing together when we go out on the boats, but we're not professional singers. We just sing for our own enjoyment. But he tells them about the opportunities that you're not going to get rich because there's 10 of you, and you're going to have to split whatever profits that you make. But you can make some extra money, and none of them are used to having a lot of money because they're fishermen. But that is the story, and it just evolves, and they take their time telling the story. It never feels rushed. It's the natural flow of one event that occurs. It goes into another, and it's just fun to watch. It's just a good time movie. And the cast, like I said, it's James Purefoy, Daniel Mays, Tuppence Middleton. How do you like that name? Tuppence Middleton. And Maggie Steed and David Heyman. None of those actors, except for maybe James Purefoy, have you heard about in any way. But they're all good. They're just like natural to the roles that they play. And like I said, it's based on a true story, so whatever happens, you have to accept in this movie that it did happen. So that's what makes the fun of it. It's rated PG-13 because there's a good bit of profanity. They're sailors and they use profanity. And so fishermen, and they're, that's part of their way of life, and that's part of their story. So I rated it 7 out of 10. I thought it was 2 steps above average. I had a good time with it. I just relaxed and, and enjoyed it and went with the flow. And the music was good too. So I don't know if they all did their own singing or if it was enhanced or whatever, but they have a good sound when they sing together. So that's Fisherman's Friends, rated PG-13 for profanity, gets a 7 out of 10 for me. We switch genres, right, now from one movie to the next, because my next movie is a movie titled Relic, and it is a horror psychological thriller that takes place in Australia. It stars Emily Mortimer and Robin Nevin and Bella Heathcote, and they play a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter. So 3 generations of women. And when the movie starts, Emily Mortimer's character and her daughter, played by Bella Heathcote, are going to check on her mother, daughter's grandmother, because they haven't seen her in several weeks, and she's in her late 70s, early 80s, and she lives in kind of an isolated area, and they haven't checked on her in a while. And they go to the house, and she's not there. She's just disappeared. It's just like she just walked out. There doesn't seem to be any damage done or anything like that. But she has disappeared. Now, eventually in the film, she comes back, and the movie goes on from there. But there's something, kind of a presence that is located in the house, and that brings a suspense level up. And you have these 3 women who are in this house, trying to care for each other and take care of each other, but it's difficult. And the older woman, the grandmother, has mood changes. It's almost like she has personality changes, and she talks about that something has been in her house, something has come in through the doors. She kind of wants to seclude herself. But as I was watching it, and even after it was over, I thought, it was almost like this presence was a metaphor or, for aging. That the demon is the process of getting older. And, that you can, if you look at it through that lens, then you can feel that that may be what the writer and director were trying to get into. So if you take that from the start, that all the things that she talks about is that that she's losing people, that she's alone, that that she can't find the things that bring her comfort, that she can't remember things that she used to, that that she feels like she's being watched or possessed or stalked or whatever. Substitute in for that, instead of thinking about this possibly demonic presence or whatever it is in the house, think about it as being the process of aging. And that what we all face as we grow older is this demon per se of being older and of losing our abilities in some way. But you never know if that's the link of the movie. I just got myself into that mood watching it. But there's still the kind of a supernatural element that plays in it all also. So you have to consider that too. This movie is rated R for profanity and violence. I scored it 6 out of 10. Acting is good, but the story itself never grabbed me as much as I wanted it to. It was chilling. You're kind of apprehensive. I'm sitting there watching it and thinking, wonder what's going to happen next, that type of thing. but it didn't draw you in as emotionally with the effect between the characters, because the daughter and granddaughter seemed to really care about the grandmother, but yet they hadn't been involved in her life for certainly a long point of time, and those two things didn't balance out. So reach down there, hit the subscribe button. We want you to be here when we talk about all these movies. They're still coming out, even though we're hunkered down or not able to see these movies in the movie theaters. Maybe someday soon, we hope. But there are movies still coming out, and there's still some worth watching. This, like I said, Relic, rated R for profanity and violence, gets a score of 6 out of 10. So this has been Jackie K. Cooper's Entertainment Rundown for today, with reviews of the movies Fisherman's Friend and Relic.